So what I really wanted to do was read this essay by Charles Taylor from his book A Secular Age, where he talks about what it means to naturalize something, to remove all value from it so that you can objectively view it without any human sentiments attached to it, without meaningful projections of human experience onto the just plain old natural physical world. Taylor calls this naturalization a process of objectification. So I'll start reading, and also a process of disengagement, but I'll just start reading it. Disengagement is correlative to what I have called objectification. To objectify a given domain is to deprive it of normative force for us, or at least to bracket the meanings it has for us in our lives. If we take a domain of being, in which hitherto the way things are has defined meanings or set standards for us, and we now take a new stance toward it as neutral, without meaning or normative force, we can speak of objectifying it. The great mechanization of the scientific world picture in the 17th century was an objectification in this sense. Formerly, the cosmic order was seen as the embodiment of the ideas. There is a double teleology here. First, the things that surround us take the form they do in order to exemplify ideas or archetypes. This is what underlies the Renaissance doctrine of the correspondences, whereby, e.g., the king in the realm corresponds to the lion among animals, the eagle among birds, the dolphin among fishes, and so on. Each is a manifestation of the same idea in its respective domain. But on a second level, the whole order itself is as it is because it exhibits certain perfections. Everything is ordered under the idea of the good in Plato's variant, and it is meant to exhibit reason as well. The Platonic idea is a self-manifesting reality. Things are as they are in order to conform to a pattern of rational self-manifestation in which the one turns into the many, in which all possible niches are occupied. This order defines excellence on several levels. First, the idea of each kind of thing exhibits the good of that thing, and that, of course, includes humans. Second, the whole cosmos exhibits a hierarchy of beings, from the lowest to the highest, and hence defines the rank of different things. And thirdly, the whole exhibits its own kind of goodness, plenitude, reason, or the benevolence of the Creator, at least in the Christian version. An order conceived in this way can be called a meaningful order, one involving an ontic logos. It sets the paradigm purposes for the beings within it. As humans, we are to conform to our idea, and this in turn must play its part in the whole, which among other things involves being rational, i.e., capable of seeing the self-manifesting order. No one can understand this order while being indifferent to it or failing to recognize its normative force. Indifference is a sign that one has not understood, that one is in error, as Epicureans and other atomists were widely condemned as being by the pre-modern mainstream. The move to mechanism neutralizes this whole domain. It no longer sets norms for us, or defines crucial life meanings. The moral consequences were, of course, part of the story of the mechanization of the world picture. The nominalist revolt against Aristotelian realism by figures like William of Ockham was motivated by the sense that propounding an ethic founded on the supposed bent of nature was attempting to set limits to the sovereignty of God. The further developments of this Ockhamist line of thought played an important role in the scientific revolution. This is the move I'm calling objectification, but I want also to speak of it as disengagement, because it involves a withdrawal of a certain sort. I said above that in the framework of the ontic logos, you couldn't understand reality without seeing its meaning or normative force. Crucial to a correct grasp is that we perceive things through their meanings. Objectification brackets these meanings and sets them aside. They no longer animate our inquiry. We as agents living meaning withdraw, as it were, from this inquiry. We place ourselves outside a certain space of meanings while examining the things of this domain. This withdrawal I want to speak of as disengagement. The mechanization of the world picture involved one such withdrawal. But Descartes takes us farther than this. He calls on us also to withdraw from the meanings correlative with our existence as embodied agents. The normal, unreflecting person thinks of color as in the dress, or sweetness as in the candy. She locates the pain in the tooth, or the tingling in the foot. But this is to see them obscurely and confusedly. The real ontological locus of all these experiences is the mind, although they are caused by features of the object or organ concerned. And the correct understanding of what is happening when we have these experiences is the one available from a third-person perspective, where we note the causal relations here. Descartes' objectification involves a withdrawal not just from the field of cosmic meanings, but also from the body, and further, in taking a firm stand in favor of a monological, self-responsible construction of certain knowledge for myself, he calls on us to withdraw from tradition and social authority and the whole domain of what is experienced in common. We can't take the truths we have learned on trust. We have to generate them each for ourselves in a process of certain reasoning from clear and distinct ideas. This powerful model of all-around disengagement gets handed down in the tradition of modernity, not indeed without contestation, but with a tremendous power attaching to it. This stems partly from the crucial role of disengaged thinking in the most prestigious and impressive epistemic activity of modern civilization, vis-a-vis natural science, but partly also, as I have argued, in the close fit of disengagement and the buffered self, and the attached sense of freedom, control, invulnerability, and hence dignity. It was easy to take the prestige of the disengaged stance based on the success of natural science and the sense of moral superiority attaching to it, and leap, often implicitly and semi-consciously, to the conclusion that it is the correct stance for all modes of inquiry. This, I think, illegitimate extension is one of the strong trends in our culture from the 17th century up to the present, as the continuing battle in the humanities and human sciences attests. The argument has to be made again and again that experience-far methods based on the natural sciences risk distorting and missing the point when applied to the phenomena of psychology, politics, language, historical interpretation, and so on. Not that it isn't evident in ordinary life that disengagement may be quite the wrong way to go about increasing understanding. When we want to understand what someone is trying to tell us in a conversation, or to grasp what motivates some person or group, how they see the world, and what kinds of things are important to them, disengagement will almost certainly be a self-stultifying strategy. We have to be open to the person or event, allowing our responses to meaning full reign, which generally means our feelings, which reflect these responses. Of course, our feelings or understanding of human meanings may also be what is blocking us in these cases. We fail to grasp how different they are from us. But as Gadamer has shown so well, the remedy for this is not to jump out of the range of human meanings altogether and try to take things in through a bleached, neutralized language of social science. That just bolts the door against new insight. It is by allowing ourselves to be challenged by the ways they fail to fit into our recognized range of meanings that we can begin to discern how this range has to be broken open and transformed if we are to understand them. But as clear as it might be in ordinary situations, the prestige of the disengaged model can easily override this everyday experience. Reality is summoned, as it were, to conform to what this stance can pick up. A powerful homogenizing a priori is at work here, perhaps a little too reminiscent of Kant, perverse in its effect. I say perverse because we ought to hold that method and stance be adapted to the nature of the reality concerned, whereas here, albeit unwittingly, reality is being arranged before the bar of method. What doesn't shape up is condemned to a shadow zone of the unreal. We can call this perverse moment the spillover effect of disengagement, whereas the withdrawal from cosmic meanings is a move which is properly motivated by the nature of the reality which natural science studies. The spillover occurs where the prestige of the stance begins to dictate what we can call or take in as a reality. We can note, too, that the sciences structured by the spillover are understood by their practitioners to be motivated by fully epistemic considerations, whereas in fact, if I am right, a big part of the motivation resides in the prestige and the admiration surrounding the stance itself, with the sense of freedom, power, control, invulnerability, dignity which it radiates. In other words, what operates here are ethical considerations, those to do with the ends of life, or what is a higher form of life. This is masked by a certain ideological consciousness. That'll do it.